An innocent child calling out "Daddy" amid a lavish party brought the golden castle of a powerful couple crashing down instantly. From that moment, Amara, once regarded as nothing more than an ornament in her husband's hands, emerged as a silent strategist. This is not merely a tale of love and betrayal, but a journey of turning pain into a weapon, contempt into a throne, and in the end, the world had no choice but to call her the Immortal Queen. The light of 1,000 crystal chandeliers rained down upon the grand hall of the Ritz, like a shower of stars reflected through every finely cut facet. The air shimmered with the soft chime of glass, the hearty laughter of tycoons, and the lingering fragrance of white roses from Provence lining the walkway. Tonight was not merely a soirée. It was a proclamation of power, opulence, and flawless love. Amidst the sea of people, Amara Diop Vautrin stood like a column of light. Her radiant brown skin gleamed beneath the chandeliers. The golden silk gown she had designed embraced her curves, its train flowing like a river in motion. The entire ballroom gazed at her, yet Amara observed them. Every glance, every gesture, every whisper, she collected them as a chess player memorizes the moves of her opponents. By her side stood Adrien Vautrin, her husband, a man whose name was known in both Paris and Brussels, raising a glass of champagne as though it were a royal scepter. Silver strands threaded through his hair, his emerald eyes gleaming, his posture commanding. Adrien was not merely the CEO of Vautrin Systems, Europe's leading tech conglomerate. He was the face of new power, a man who possessed wealth, charisma, and the ability to bend public opinion with nothing more than a smile. Tonight, he shone as the Emperor of Paris. Mesdames et messieurs, Adrien's voice, deep and resonant, drew every gaze to him. The chatter hushed simultaneously, as though the crowd had been trained to still themselves when he spoke. He stepped toward the dais near the great glass windows, overlooking the Seine. Outside, Paris glittered, the Eiffel Tower sparkling like a jewel. Inside, every pair of eyes rested upon a single man. 5 years ago, Adrien began. I married the most extraordinary woman in the world. His eyes locked onto Amara's, his voice trembling like a man in love. But the truth is, our story did not begin there. 8 years ago, when I first met Amara at the Louvre, I was a man who had everything: wealth, reputation, power. Yet my heart was empty. I lived in a golden cage. And she, Adrien paused, his eyes brightening. She opened the door to that cage. A murmur rippled across the ballroom. Some ladies dabbed at their eyes. Some gentlemen nodded in solemn approval. Adrien continued, Amara transformed my world from black and white into a masterpiece of color. She did not simply fill my lifeless apartment with her exquisite designs. She changed me. Amara, you are my heart, my muse, my queen. Applause erupted like fireworks. Camera flashes burst. Reporters from Le Monde, Vogue, and Le Figaro scrambled to capture the moment. Across social media, hundreds of live streams flared, fueling the myth of the golden couple of Paris. Adrien extended his hand toward Amara. She stepped forward, her movement as fluid as silk adrift, her smile tender though her eyes were fathomless. Adrien bent and kissed her, a kiss carefully choreographed, long enough to captivate the crowd, short enough to preserve elegance. The ballroom roared. Only Amara knew it was not a kiss of love, but of performance. And she, the worshipped wife, was no longer a helpless spectator. She was the director, sharpening her blade, awaiting the curtain's rise. From a shadowed corner, Clara Moretti lifted her glass of champagne, a sly smile curling her lips. The petite confidante had always been perceptive. Leaning toward her companion, Clara whispered, Amara has a way of making all of Paris fall silent, or sometimes scream. She winked as Amara's gaze brushed hers. Between them lay an unspoken understanding. This glittering facade was but the surface of a dangerous game. She is beautiful, a German lady murmured, her eyes fixed on Amara. A beauty that could either destroy or redeem an empire. Or both, Clara muttered, sipping again. One by one, guests approached with praise. The French Minister of Commerce shook Adrien's hand, lauding future collaborations in technology. An Italian actress marveled at Amara's gown, hinting she wished to wear it at Cannes. A tycoon from Dubai spoke of expanding lean luxury into the Middle East. Adrien laughed and conversed in several languages, never lifting his hand from Amara's waist. To all, he appeared to be a man devoted to his wife, but Amara noted each one carefully. Who was an ally? Who was a prey? Who stared at Adrien with blind admiration? While shaking hands with a senator, she caught the fleeting glance Adrien cast at a brunette across the hall. A glance swift as a hidden dagger, yet sharp enough for Amara to see. She smiled serenely, but within, she marked it. Another link in Adrien's web. The evening drifted into dancing. A jazz ensemble from New Orleans struck up a tune, smooth and sultry. Couples swirled across the floor, gowns rippling like waves of silk. Adrien led Amara to the center, his hand gripping her waist tightly. "You still make Paris worship you," Adrien murmured sweetly. "I told you we are untouchable." Amara tilted her head, her smile delicate. "Untouchable or inescapable," Adrien chuckled, mistaking her words for jest. But Amara knew each word carried weight. "I love you," Adrien declared firmly, "and I will always protect you." "Protect," Amara repeated inwardly. "Or control." Her gaze swept across the room, radiant faces, envious eyes. They saw only a fairy tale. She saw a stage, filled with actors unaware they were performing, and she vowed, one day, this stage would burn. Near midnight, Adrien raised his glass again, a radiant smile on his face. "To you, Amara," he proclaimed, "everything I do has meaning." The ballroom erupted once more. Amara clinked her glass against his, her dark eyes fathomless. Outside, fireworks burst above the Seine. Inside, crystal light shimmered against her glass, and in that fleeting moment, Amara whispered to herself, "This is only Act 1. The play has just begun, and Paris will never forget." In Paris, every romance begins with art. For Amara, it started at the Louvre. 8 years ago, she was a young Senegalese designer working in a tiny workshop in Belleville. The studio sat above an African grocery store, where the pungent scent of spices seeped into every bolt of fabric. Amara remembered those freezing winter nights, her fingers numb from an old sewing machine, yet still stitching patiently. She dreamed that one day, the silk she had created herself, fabric that reflected light like liquid metal, would stride across international runways. That night, the Louvre hosted a charity gala for emerging artists. Amara could not afford a ticket, but an old mentor secured an invitation for her to display a few samples of her experimental fabric. Nervously, she brought 3 rolls of silk, setting them in a quiet corner, never expecting notice. Her fabric seemed like a poor child wandering into a palace among collections of diamonds and artworks worth millions, until Adrien Vautrin appeared. "C'est vous la créatrice?" His voice came from behind, deep, resonant, commanding. Amara turned, startled by eyes of piercing green. Adrien was just past 37, already a technology billionaire, though she did not know it. To her, he was simply a distinguished man in a flawless tuxedo, studying her fabric with unusual intensity. "Oui, I made these," she answered in careful French, hiding her unease. Adrien bent, letting his fingers glide lightly across the silk. It is as though light has been woven into thread. How did you do it?" No one had asked her that before. Most glanced, then walked away. Amara's heart raced. She explained her technique, blending natural silk with ultrafine silver thread, treating it with chemicals that refracted light in layered dimensions. Adrien listened intently, nodding, asking questions that surprised her. Clearly, he knew more about material science than the average patron here. "Je cherche quelqu'un," Adrien said at last. "I am searching for someone who can transform my apartment into a place worth living in, not merely luxurious but alive. Would you be interested?" Amara hesitated, but Adrien handed her a silver-embossed card. "Adrien Vautrin, Vautrin Systems." She accepted it, never imagining that card would open the door to paradise and hell. The first commission came like a dream. Adrien wanted her to redesign his penthouse in the 7th arrondissement, an apartment infamous for its sterile, laboratory-like coldness. Amara transformed it into a warm space, where light danced through silk drapes, where metal and fabric fused seamlessly. Architectural magazines hailed it as the apartment that breathes. From there, orders poured in. Her name rose quickly. Lean Luxury was founded, and Adrien, once merely a client, became her chief investor. He poured in capital and opened doors to Milan runways, Vogue covers, and New York and Tokyo trips. Amara, once the girl from Belleville, became the silk queen of Paris. Then came the proposal. Adrien brought her to Provence, to a field of endless lavender, a long table draped in white linen, hundreds of candles flickering. He knelt, producing a diamond ring so large it stunned her. "Amara, let me make you my queen." She said yes, to the applause of hidden staff. The wedding followed in an ancient Provençal chateau, with over 400 international guests. In Harper's Bazaar, a photograph of Amara in the gown she had designed bore the caption, "A modern-day Cinderella." Yet amid the fireworks, Amara felt a strange unease. Why did she feel like a glittering jewel in Adrien's collection? Why did the grand wedding resemble an unveiling more than a union? She told herself that love always walks with power, and what power comes without a price? While Amara soared on the wings of success, another story unfolded silently. Just months after the Louvre Gala, Adrien had reconnected with Sofia Delgado, his university love. Sofia, then a struggling freelance photographer, lived precariously but still carried her intoxicating allure. Adrien told her he had never forgotten that his earlier marriage was a mistake. Sofia, vulnerable in a financial storm, relented. A secret affair rekindled, and from it, Elena Delgado was born a child with the same green eyes as Adrien. While Amara cut the ribbon at Lean Luxury's first boutique on the Champs-Élysées, Sofia battled morning sickness in her small Montmartre flat. While Amara and Adrien posed for wedding portraits among Provençal vineyards, Sofia cradled her growing belly alone, listening to Adrien's whispered promises. "Just a few years, and I will arrange everything." Adrien had built two parallel worlds, one bathed in light, one cloaked in shadow, and only he believed he could keep them both. Amara knew nothing, at least not then. To her, marriage was the door to a golden castle, where she was both queen and captive. Adrien loved her like a collector loves a rare treasure, cherished, yet possessed entirely. He often whispered, "You are free, Amara. Whatever you want, I will give." But what freedom exists when every contract bore his signature, every fund flowed through his name, and invisible golden clauses locked her in place? Amara would often sit alone in her fabric room, fingertips grazing each strand of silk. She remembered Belleville, the rickety sewing machine, the joy of selling her first dress. Then she looked around. The vast mansion, the team of assistants, collections worth millions. All of it seemed hers, yet never wholly so. Is this a dream, she wondered, or merely a golden cage where the bird convinces it is happy, fed on jewels? Paris did not care. To society, Amara and Adrien were untouchable. She, a fashion icon, a black woman at the pinnacle of Europe, he, a tech billionaire, a gallant philanthropist. Together, a love story to envy. Only Amara, sometimes watching Adrien sleep beside her, noticed the coldness of his hands. And within her heart, a quiet voice whispered, "One day, this cage will shatter." The morning after the anniversary soirée, Paris sunlight streamed through the vast glass windows, gilding the penthouse above Place Vendôme. Once hailed by architectural magazines as the sanctuary of silk and light, every curtain and every chair had been chosen by Amara, down to the way light refracted on each detail. But this morning, instead of pride, Amara saw only a stage, and herself, a leading actress who had just performed a flawless act the night before. Adrien entered the kitchen, his silver-streaked hair tousled from sleep, clad in black silk pajamas. He slipped his arms around Amara's waist, kissing the curve of her neck. "Last night was perfect, ma reine," he murmured. Amara smiled, refilling his cup. "Oui, as always." The answer slid out smoothly, without the faintest tremor. Adrien believed her. He always did because Amara had mastered the art of concealment. As Adrien unfolded Le Monde to the business section, Amara watched. She knew every habit of his. Coffee at precisely 65 degrees Celsius, newspapers arranged in strict order, Financial Times, then Le Monde, then Le Figaro. Each ritual was a thread in the cocoon of control he wove around himself. "I've been thinking," Adrien said without looking up, "about lean luxury. It's time for restructuring." Amara set her spoon down without a sound. "Restructuring?" Adrien nodded, his tone steady, professorial. "Yes. We'll shift more shares into the parent companies and streamline taxation. You'll still handle the creative, of course. Leave the complicated matters finance, legal to me." It sounded protective, but Amara knew better. Restructuring meant Adrien would seize the company whole. Lean luxury, her life's creation, reduced to a subsidiary of Vautrin Systems. "You think that would be best?" Amara asked, her voice soft as air. Adrien looked up, smiling tenderly. "I know the market. You need to create beauty. Leave the rest to me, I'll protect it." There it was again. Protect. A sweet word that, to Amara, meant imprisonment. She smiled, nodded. "You always know how to put me at ease." Adrien returned to his paper, satisfied, certain he had convinced her. But within, Amara whispered, "Another contract, another snare. Let him think so." That afternoon, Amara arrived at Lean Luxury's offices on Boulevard Haussmann. Clara Moretti was waiting in the boardroom, dressed in a white suit with a thick file. "Amara, do you have a moment? We need to talk." Amara sat slowly. "What is it?" Clara opened the file. "I've been reviewing the cash flow. Investments are funneled through a Luxembourg subsidiary. The pattern is suspiciously like a takeover scheme." "Did Adrien mention anything?" Amara's gaze remained serene. "He said it's just restructuring for tax efficiency." Clara frowned. "Restructuring? Amara, I've been a CFO for 10 years. This isn't optimization. This is preparation for acquisition. If Adrien consolidates enough shares through shell companies, Lean Luxury won't belong to us anymore." Amara stayed silent. For a moment, Clara believed her friend was too trusting or too naive. Clara did not know that Amara had uncovered this 2 years ago. While Adrien slept one night, Amara opened the safe in his study. She found share contracts, shell companies registered in Luxembourg, Cyprus, and even the Virgin Islands. Adrien had been buying Lean Luxury with its own profits, hidden behind layers of legal fronts. Amara did not weep. Instead, she began to document notes, photographs, and archives. She hired a secret lawyer, Etienne Roux, to unravel each layer. From that night onward, Amara lived 2 lives. Outwardly the devoted wife, inwardly the detective gathering evidence. "Amara," Clara said, breaking the silence, "I'm afraid you trust Adrien too much." Amara smiled, resting her hand on Clara's shoulder. "Trust me, everything is under control." Clara searched her eyes, ready to argue, but sighed. "You always have a plan. I hope this time the plan is strong enough." Amara gave no reply. Inside, a vow rang clear. Not just strong enough, devastating. In the days that followed, Adrien's grip tightened. He pressed Amara to sign papers for convenience. He hired PR specialists to shape his image as the man behind Lean Luxury's success. He arranged interviews where Amara was expected to emphasize the love and support of her husband. In the media, they were still the perfect couple, but Amara could see the fine cracks spreading through the gilding. When Adrien spoke of us at dinner, he always meant me. In photographs, his hand on her waist was less tender than possessive. "You belong to me." Amara learned to smile, to nod, to play the role. Yet in her mind, every word, every glance became evidence. While Adrien was away at a closed meeting one evening, Amara opened her laptop and reviewed her secret archive. Hundreds of PDF contracts, photographs of agreements, and anonymous emails from bankers. Together, they painted a single picture. Adrien wasn't only planning to strip Lean Luxury. He had done this before with other women. Amara stared at the screen, her eyes glinting with cold fire. "You think I am just a doll queen, Adrien? You will soon learn your mistake." She closed the laptop, adjusted her silk gown, and stepped onto the balcony overlooking Paris. The city glittered, a vast chessboard of light, and Amara, after years of study, was ready to play as a true master. Late on a Saturday afternoon, Amara had just finished a strategy session with her design team when her phone rang. The name on the screen froze her: Sofia Delgado, an old university friend who had disappeared for years, reaching out only now and then with polite, distant messages. Amara, Sofia's voice came through the line tense, hurried. "I'm sorry to call out of the blue. This is terribly sudden, but I have an important interview tonight, and the nanny just cancelled. Elena has no one to watch her. Could you help me?" Amara hesitated. She and Sofia rarely met, but Adrien's subtle glances whenever that name arose still lingered in her memory. Sofia Delgado, the shadow that had never vanished. "Yes," Amara answered softly. "Bring her here. We'll look after her." An hour later, the penthouse doorbell rang. Amara opened it to find Sofia frail, hair hastily tied back, gripping the hand of a girl of about 7. "Thank you, Amara," Sofia said quickly, avoiding her gaze. "I truly owe you." Amara nodded lightly, her eyes drifting to the child. Elena Delgado, a name she had only heard before. The girl looked up, her eyes shining emerald green, a green so familiar it pierced Amara's chest. "Bonjour, mademoiselle," Amara greeted, crouching. "Bonjour," Elena replied, shy but radiant. Adrien appeared behind Amara. When Elena saw him, her face lit up like the sun breaking through clouds. "Monsieur Adrien," she cried, then blurted, instinctively, "Daddy." The air froze. Sofia flinched, pressing her daughter's shoulder. "Elena, what did we say about that in public?" The girl blushed, mumbling, "Sorry. Bonjour, Monsieur Adrien." Adrien cleared his throat, bending down to ruffle her hair. "Hello, princess. You've grown again." Amara's smile remained fixed, but her hand clenched her glass so tightly her knuckles turned white. After Sofia hurried away, Adrien led Elena into his study, where paper, pencils, and rulers were already waiting on the desk, not by chance. Amara lingered at the doorway. Adrien sat beside the girl, patiently explaining how to sketch an arched roof. "If you place the column here, the weight shifts to the corners. Do you see?" Elena scribbled eagerly, emerald eyes glowing. "Oui. Just like last time, Daddy, Monsieur Adrien showed me." Adrien chuckled, quickly correcting, "Just a little game, princess." But Amara did not laugh. She saw the familiarity in every gesture, the way Adrien bent low, his softened gaze, his gentle voice. A man utterly unlike the cold figure she knew. Elena looked up, holding her drawing toward Amara. "Tante Amara, look, I built a castle." Amara bent down. The sketch was naive, yet surprisingly detailed. No 7-year-old could draw this without years of guidance. She stroked the girl's hair, smiling. "Beautiful, ma chérie. When did you start learning this?" "Depuis toujours," Elena exclaimed. "Since I was little. Daddy, Monsieur Adrien gave me my own drawing desk at home. And real tools, too." "Ah." Amara nodded, her smile unbroken. But inside, the pieces clicked into place. At dinner, Adrien sat close, carefully serving Elena small bites. The girl chatted about school, often turning to Adrien. "Like you told me, Daddy, or remember when you took me to that restaurant?" Amara stayed silent, listening. To an outsider, it might look like Adrien was a close friend of the Delgado family. But to Amara, every word from the child's lips was another blade cutting deeper into his deception. "You're very good with children," Amara remarked lightly, as Adrien guided Elena toward the sitting room. Adrien turned, his smile stiffening. "Of course, children need encouragement, especially a child with green eyes," Amara murmured, just loud enough for him to hear, before turning away. When Sofia returned, Elena clung to Adrien, unwilling to leave. "Daddy, will you come tomorrow?" she asked. Sofia paled. "Elena," she whispered sharply. Adrien bent low, embracing the girl, his voice hushed. "I'll try, princess." Amara did not intervene. She only watched, her eyes black and bottomless, stripped of all gentleness. The door closed behind Sophia and Elena. Adrien turned to his wife in the heavy silence, ready with excuses. But Amara only smiled, pouring another glass of wine. "You don't need to explain," she said softly, her voice smooth as velvet. "Everything will become clear in time." Adrien frowned, puzzled by the undertone. But Amara understood. Tonight, she had seen with her eyes and heard with her ears. The truth no longer lay in contracts or hidden data. It lived, breathed, and had called Adrien by the one name he could never deny. Daddy. She raised her glass, savoring the bitter burgundy on her tongue. Beneath the golden light, Amara smiled the smile of a woman who had just glimpsed the final move revealed upon the chessboard. Paris glittered that night. The rooftop of the Ritz had been transformed into a hanging garden, covered in white roses and glass lanterns. A jazz band played La Vie en Rose, the saxophone weaving long notes into the laughter of 300 guests. This was not merely a fifth wedding anniversary, it was a performance of power, staged by Adrien for all of Europe to witness. Amara descended the grand staircase, her golden silk gown trailing like liquid sunlight. Guests gasped, phones raised, cameras flashing in rapid succession. They saw the Silk Queen walking with flawless poise. Only Amara knew. Each step she placed was a countdown toward a scene long prepared. In a perfectly tailored black tuxedo, Adrien approached with a champagne glass raised. "Mesdames et messieurs," his voice rang out. The chatter ceased. All eyes turned. Adrien smiled, his green eyes gleaming. 5 years ago, I was the luckiest man in Paris when I married Amara. And tonight, I wish to recreate that miracle. The room rippled with shock. Adrien Kalt, producing a velvet box. Light struck the stone within an emerald of 20 carats, rimmed in diamonds. Gasps filled the air, followed by cheers. Some women dabbed at tears. "Amara Diop Vautrin," Adrien declared, voice strong but gaze locked on hers. "Will you grant me the honor of marrying you?" Once again, cameras exploded with light. Everyone believed they were about to witness the proposal of the century. Amara smiled, stepping closer. But instead of answering, she turned to the crowd. "Not yet," she said gently. "Before I respond, someone very special wishes to share this joy with us." She bent slightly, calling, "Elena, chérie, come here." Every head turned. From the corner where her mother stood, little Elena Delgado trotted forward in a fluffy white dress. Guests smiled indulgently. A child at a proposal charming. Elena reached Adrien, grasping his hand. Her emerald eyes sparkled. "Monsieur Adrien, are you really marrying Tante Amara again?" Adrien froze. Laughter rippled across the room, soft oars rising. He forced a smile. "Yes, princess. That's the plan." Elena spun toward the crowd, her voice clear, innocent, unwavering. "Then can I call him Daddy at this wedding, just like I do at home?" The room fell silent. The jazz stopped mid-note. Champagne glasses hovered mid-air. Cameras ceased their frenzy, only a few shutters clicked. Hesitant, electric. Sophia blanched, rushing forward. "Elena, chérie, that's enough." But the child went on, beaming. "Maman always tells me to call him Monsieur Adrien in front of people, but I know he's my daddy, and if he marries Tante Amara again, then she'll be my stepmaman, won't she?" "That's wonderful." Whispers erupted like a storm. His daughter, stepmaman. Cameras whirred back to life, not for romance, but for the scandal of the century. Adrien still knelt, the emerald ring trembling in his hand, his face drained, eyes wide with horror. Amara stood tall beside him, her smile serene, as though none surprised her. As though Elena's words were merely the following lines in a script she had written years ago. A sharp cough broke the silence. Comtesse Madeleine d'Aubry, the 85-year-old queen of Parisian society, leaned forward on her cane, her gaze slicing the air. "Mon Dieu," she croaked, her voice carrying. "This is far more entertaining than expected." The guests tittered, whispers swelling into waves. They had smelled blood. Paris, the city of light, was also hungry for scandal. Adrien struggled to his feet, forcing composure. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is simply a childish misunderstanding," but his words were drowned by the rising din. Guests whispered feverishly, phones lifted high to record. Sophia dragged at her daughter's arm, panic etched across her face. Elena still called out, untroubled, "Daddy, will I get to wear a pretty dress at your wedding again?" Adrien swallowed hard, unable to answer. Amara laid a gentle hand on the girl's shoulder. "Bien sûr, chérie. You will be the center of the wedding. All of Paris will remember that day." Adrien's eyes met his wife's. In her calm gaze, he saw not serenity but the gleaming edge of a blade, twisting deeper. Outside, the first firework thundered. Paris skies erupted in color. But inside the Ritz, the light fell on pale faces, false smiles, cameras capturing an earthquake. Amara lifted her glass, smiling to the room. To a truly unforgettable evening. And indeed it was. No longer a celebration of love, this was the night the Golden Castle began to crack. The romantic cheers that should have followed the reproposal never came. Instead, the grand ballroom of the Ritz fell into a deathly hush. On the marble floor, Adrien still clutched the velvet box, the emerald blazing, his hands trembling like a man about to stand trial. Elena glanced around, puzzled, not understanding why her words had changed the air. "Did I say something wrong, Daddy?" Her clear little voice rang out, stabbing deeper into the polished veneer. Sophia rushed forward, gathering her daughter, whispering frantically, "Chérie, let's go." But hundreds of eyes were fixed on them like a pack of wolves. Phones lifted, cameras clicked. There was no escape. Adrien inhaled sharply, forcing composure. He turned to the guests, voice raised. "Please, ladies and gentlemen, children sometimes, imagine things, pay it no mind." Silence. Amara's voice cut through the air, sharp as a blade. The room stilled once more. She stepped forward in her golden silk gown, her face serene, almost cold. "There is nothing imaginary here. Isn't that right, Adrien?" Adrien froze. Sweat glistened at his temple, his emerald eyes darting for a way out. Amara gave him none. "My dear guests," she said evenly, turning to the hall, "I had prepared a surprise for tonight, and perhaps it is far more entertaining than my husband's proposal." The side doors opened. A middle-aged man in a grey suit entered, carrying a thick dossier. His greying hair, thin-rimmed glasses, and measured stride marked him. Etienne Roux, renowned financial lawyer, and Amara's hidden piece on the board. Adrien's face drained. "Etienne, what are you doing here?" Etienne bowed not to Adrien, but to Amara, then handed her the file. "Madame Vautrin, as you requested, I conducted a full financial analysis of lean luxury over the past 5 years. The results, may I present them now?" The room erupted in whispers. Journalists raised their cameras higher. Their instincts told them the scandal of the century was unfolding. Amara drew several sheets from the file, holding them aloft. "Ladies and gentlemen, for years Adrien Vautrin has been secretly stealing lean luxury, the company I built with my own hands. He established a web of shell companies in Luxembourg, Cyprus, the Cayman Islands, and through them repurchased lean luxury shares with our own profits. As of today, Adrien holds 75% of my company." Gasps rippled like shockwaves. "Mon Dieu, impossible," filled the air. Some scribbled furiously, others live-streamed. Adrien's voice shook with fury. "This is a lie. Etienne, I am your client." Etienne stood firm. "You were, monsieur. But when a client manipulates the law to defraud and destroy, a lawyer's duty is to reveal the truth. And tonight, I fulfill that duty." Amara stepped closer, her voice calm, cold as steel. "Adrien has not only betrayed me as a husband, he has betrayed lean luxury and all who believed in the dream I created. He turned love into a mask for theft." Applause cracked the silence, one pair of hands, another, and many. Not all in the room had loved Adrien. Many had felt his disdain, his arrogance. Now, they watched the emperor stripped bare. "Silence, Amara," Adrien roared. "You don't understand business." "Oh, I understand perfectly," she cut in, eyes sharp as glass. You call it protection. I call it plunder. At the edge of the room, Sophia pulled Elena toward the exit. But cameras caught it all, the child burying her face against her mother's shoulder, emerald eyes gleaming, living proof. By dawn, that image would flood every social feed in Europe. Adrien tried one last defense. All of you, don't believe this charade. It is nothing but the revenge of a jealous wife. Amara laughed, the sound carrying across the hall. Wrong, Adrien. I am not revenge. I am the ending of the game you began. She lifted the file, cameras flashing wildly. That image, the black woman in a golden gown, holding aloft proof of betrayal, would grace the cover of Le Monde the next morning, captioned, "The Silk Queen of Paris exposes her billionaire husband at the soirée of the century." Adrien staggered back. His golden castle was not merely cracking, it was collapsing, in front of hundreds of witnesses. For Amara, the room blurred. The chatter, the cameras, the gasps all faded. She heard only her heartbeat, steady, unyielding. Years she had waited for this moment. And now, in the glittering Ritz ballroom, the first verdict had been delivered not by a court of law, but by the eyes and whispers of society. She lifted her champagne glass high, to a night none of us shall ever forget. Outside, fireworks thundered, the Paris sky ablaze. But within, all knew, the true brilliance of the evening was the ruin of Adrien Vautrin. The night at the Ritz ended in chaos, but its aftershocks lasted for days. News of the little girl calling Adrien Vautrin daddy before 300 guests flooded headlines from Paris to Milan, Le Monde to the New York Times. Hashtags Vautrin scandal and Queen Amara erupted across social media. Each video of Elena innocently uttering daddy racking up millions of views within hours. Adrien vanished from public view, retreating to his Versailles estate. Yet, even in hiding, his hand reached far. On Tuesday morning, Amara woke in her eerily silent penthouse, checked her phone, and found an email from the bank. All accounts in her name had been frozen, under legal orders from Vautrin Systems. Clara stormed into the living room, waving her phone. "Amara, the company cards don't work either. I called the bank," they said. Every order came from Adrien's lawyers. Amara sipped her coffee, unnervingly calm. "Of course. He thinks cutting money will choke me." "Amara, I don't understand how you're still this calm. Your personal accounts, Lean Luxury's accounts, everything is locked." Amara chuckled, opening her laptop and typing a long string of passwords. The screen revealed a list of hidden assets, Swiss investments, properties in Portugal, and anonymous accounts in the Caymans. "You forget, Clara. Before I was the Silk Queen, I survived Belleville. You learn to prepare when you've counted every coin to buy thread. Adrien thinks he taught me a strategy. In truth, I learned it from hunger." Clara exhaled, shaking her head. "You always keep cards hidden." Amara closed the laptop. "It's the only way to win when you sit across from a fraud." That afternoon, the doorbell rang. Amara opened it to find Sofia Delgado, pale, exhausted, her dress crumpled. In her arms, Elena dozed, her small head resting on her mother's shoulder. "Amara." Sofia's voice trembled. "I know you don't want to see me, but I have nowhere else to go." From the living room, Clara glared. "You dare show your face here?" Sofia bowed her head, as if to accept all scorn. "I deserve it. But please hear me first." Amara signaled Clara to hold her tongue, then led Sofia inside. Elena was laid gently on the sofa, a blanket tucked around her. Sofia sat, her hands clasped tight. "Amara, it didn't begin when you think. Adrien and I, we met at university. We loved each other and planned to marry, but his family objected. He left me, married another. I thought it was over." She swallowed hard, voice faltering. "Then, 8 years ago, he found me again. He said he had never forgotten that his first marriage was a mistake, and I foolishly believed him. Then came Elena." Clara shot to her feet. "While he was pursuing Amara, wasn't he?" Sofia nodded, tears spilling. "I knew, but Adrien promised that Lean Luxury was only a stepping stone and that we would be a real family once he secured it." Amara stayed silent, her dark eyes glinting with cold light. She was not surprised her secret dossiers had told her all, but hearing it from Sophia's own mouth, seeing her hollow face, she recognized something more. Adrien had not only betrayed her, he had broken Sophia with the same pattern. Sophia reached shakily for Amara's hand. "I don't expect forgiveness, but if you want to bring Adrien down, I have documents, invoices, emails, even recordings. He was arrogant many times, he said outright, that you were nothing but an expensive ornament to decorate the company's profile." Clara hissed, "That bastard." Amara gently withdrew her hand, meeting Sophia's eyes. "I don't need forgiveness, I need the truth. Give me everything if you want to protect Elena from her father." Sophia nodded fiercely, tears streaming. "I will. Just promise me one thing, don't let Adrien destroy my daughter." Amara glanced at Elena sleeping peacefully, lashes trembling against her cheeks. The child was innocent, and in that moment, Amara whispered, "She will be protected, at any cost." Later that night, after Sophia left, Clara sat across from Amara, hands trembling with fury. "You knew, didn't you? All of it. Adrien, Sophia, the child." Amara nodded. "For over 2 years." Clara gaped. "My God, Amara. And you pretended all that time? Slept beside him, smiled for cameras, held his hand at every gala. If I hadn't pretended, how would I have gathered the evidence? Adrien thought I was a grateful black doll, lifted to a throne. He forgot. The bird in the cage can learn to unlock the door." Clara gave a harsh laugh, torn between awe and unease. "I don't know if you're a genius or a demon." Amara sipped her wine, her voice steady. "Both. And that is what will save us." That night, under the penthouse lights, 3 women sat around a table: Amara, Clara, and Sophia. Before them lay piles of evidence, contracts, recordings, emails. Outside, Paris slept. Inside, an alliance was forged. One betrayed in marriage, one deceived in love, one who had seen it all and was ready to fight. They raised their glasses of red wine, eyes meeting. Amara spoke, slow and resolute. "Adrien has played this game for years, but this time he chose the wrong opponents, and we 3 women he underestimated will be the ones to end his empire." The clink of crystal rang out, clear and sharp, like a bell heralding the beginning of a war without mercy. Milan, the fashion capital of Italy, glowed that night like a colossal stage. Lights along Via Monte Napoleone cascaded over luxury boutiques, their mannequins in haute couture standing still, as if awaiting history's next performance. At a grand hotel overlooking Piazza del Duomo, Amara Diop Vautrin stepped out of a black Mercedes, dressed in a crimson silk suit, her hair swept high to reveal her proud, regal face. Cameras flared instantly. Italian reporters surged forward, shouting her name as if she were a movie star. "Amara, Amara. Will lean luxury survive the scandal?" She paused, her dark eyes flashing with resolve. "Not only survive," she replied in flawless Italian. "Lean luxury will go global, and Milan will be the beginning." Within minutes, her words were trending across Twitter and online headlines. The next day, at the glass-clad headquarters of Venturi Fashion Group overlooking the Navigli Canal, Amara met Lorenzo Venturi. The silver-haired and elegantly composed Italian magnate greeted her with old-world courtesy. "Madame Amara," he said, kissing her hand lightly, "I admire your composure. Many believed lean luxury died after the Ritz." Amara smiled, her eyes burning bright. "They forget that silk only reveals its beauty through fire. I have not fallen. I am reborn." Lorenzo laughed, clearly charmed. "A true queen. Very well, let us speak of business." In the boardroom, a map of Europe stretched across the screen. Amara pointed. "Paris, London, Milan, Barcelona, the 4 pillars. I have a new line of fabric, 2nd-generation lightweave technology. Lean luxury will grant Venturi Fashion exclusive rights for Southern Europe. In return, Venturi opens its full distribution network to us." Lorenzo's eyes sharpened with interest. "Excellent. But what of Adrien?" Amara leaned forward, her smile cold. "Adrien is busy, cleaning the ruins of his castle. Leave that to me. You need only think of the future. They signed the memorandum. Amara's pen struck the page like a blade thrust firmly into the chessboard of Milan. But Adrien did not sit idle. In another hotel suite, he met Kenji Takahashi, the ruthless Japanese CEO of Silk Dynasty. Amara will not survive without her light-weave technology, Adrien said coolly. I am willing to transfer the patents in exchange for an alliance. Kenji narrowed his eyes. You would betray your own wife? Adrien chuckled, soon to be ex-wife. She thinks herself clever, but she forgets in this world. Money always wins. Kenji extended his hand. We shall see. I will consider it. They shook. Outside, paparazzi caught the moment. Within hours, the photo Adrien handshaking Kenji Takahashi splashed across Italian media. That evening, Amara arrived with Clara and Sofia at a fashion gala in Palazzo Reale. The hall stirred in excitement. People looked at her not as a woman shattered by scandal, but as an icon blazing anew. Across the room, Adrien stood, his gaze sharp with challenge. Beside him, Kenji smirked faintly. The air stretched taut as a wire. Then, the tap of a cane echoed on marble. Comtesse Madeleine d'Aubry, the wealthiest dowager in Parisian high society, veteran witness to decades of scandal, entered, her eyes slicing like knives. The hall fell silent. She walked directly to Amara and raised her glass. I have watched this game long enough. Tonight, I make it public. I stand with Amara Diop Vautrin, the only woman in this room who knows how to turn betrayal into a crown. Thunderous applause broke. Reporters surged forward, cameras flashing. Adrien paled. Kenji scowled. Amara bowed her head slightly, her smile gentle but her eyes aflame. Merci, Comtesse. I will not fail you. That night, as Milan slept, Amara stood at her hotel window, gazing down at the thinning crowds. Clara joined her, a hand on her shoulder. You've turned the board upside down. Amara nodded. Adrien thought, scandal would bury me. But scandal crowned me queen of European fashion. He forgot one thing. On this chessboard, I do not defend, I attack. In the mirror, her reflection glimmered a woman once caged in gold, now holding the entire international board in her hands. The Milan game had begun, and the next move would be the killing strike. Milan awoke cold and grey, clouds heavy like a curtain draped over the sky. Yet before the People's Court, hundreds of reporters thronged, television cameras aimed, microphones raised high, banners rippled. Justice for Amara. Stop corporate predators. A black car pulled up. Amara stepped out, clad in a navy silk suit, an emerald necklace blazing under the flashbulbs. At her side was Etienne Roux, her steadfast lawyer and ally. Behind them, Clara and Sofia followed, their eyes tense. Reporters shouted, Madame Amara, do you believe the court will favor you? Did Adrien Vautrin truly defraud you for years? What message do you have for women entrepreneurs watching this trial? Amara paused, meeting the lenses directly. I am not here only for myself. I am here for every woman whose work was stolen by men who wield love as a weapon. Today, justice will speak. Her words, broadcast live, swept across Europe like a vow. Inside the courtroom, Adrien entered in a grey suit, his face frozen but his green eyes restless. Behind him, a phalanx of lawyers, led by the formidable David Thornfield of London. When Adrien's gaze met Amara's, he faltered. She did not look like a betrayed wife. She looked like a queen ready to deliver judgment. The judge opened proceedings. The Italian prosecutor declared, "This case is not merely about a businessman and his wife. It is a textbook example of how a financial predator exploits intimacy to seize intellectual property and companies from women." Etienne rose. For over 5 years, Adrien Vautrin created 17 shell companies in Luxembourg, the Caymans, and Cyprus. Using Lean Luxury's own profits, he secretly repurchased shares. He now controls 75% illegally, if not unlawfully. The evidence is here. He placed a thick dossier on the table. Cameras zoomed in on signatures, flowcharts, and financial trails. The first witness, Sofia Delgado. She stepped up, voice trembling but gaining strength. Adrien told me Lean Luxury was just an investment, that once he controlled it, we would be a true family. I have emails, texts, and recordings. In them, he called Amara an ornament of use. Adrien burst out, "Lies! Sophia, you betray me." The judge banged his gavel. Silence in court. Sophia raised her head, meeting Adrien's eyes for the first time. "No, Adrien, you betrayed all of us." The following witnesses: 4 women from across Europe, past victims of Adrien's scheme. A biologist from Germany. He promised love and investment in my lab, then stole the company, left me with nothing. A Spanish architect. He seduced me, then stripped my patents. A Swiss designer wept. I thought I was the only one, but he had a formula for us all. Each testimony drove another blade into the image of the tech king once adored. Then came the tablet recording of little Elena. Her innocent voice filled the courtroom. "Daddy said it's a secret, because Target doesn't understand business yet. Daddy said, when Daddy owns everything, we'll be a family." Gasps tore through the hall. Adrien's face drained. He shouted, "This is fabricated. Children are not valid witnesses." Amara rose, voice sharp as ice. "It need not be legal. It only needs to be true. And truth always finds its way out of a child's mouth." Finally, Amara took the stand. The room hushed to breathless silence. Adrien Vautrin made me believe love and work could unite. I let him into Lean Luxury, only for him to turn it into his game of power. He did not merely steal my company. He stole 5 years of my life. She turned to him, gaze unwavering, but he forgot one thing. I learned quickly. He taught me ruthlessness, and today, I use that lesson to end him. Applause erupted, despite the judge's call for order. After hours of argument, the judge pronounced, "Adrien Vautrin is guilty of financial fraud, share manipulation, breach of marital duty, and abuse of trust. All shell company transfers annulled. Lean Luxury restored 100% to Amara. Adrien was ordered to pay €200 million in damages. Prosecutors in Italy and Luxembourg are to pursue additional charges of money laundering." Adrien collapsed into his chair, his hands trembling as he covered his face. Cameras captured it all. Amara rose, her back straight, her eyes blazing. As she exited the court, reporters roared, "Reine Amara! Reine Amara!" She smiled, lifting her hand. In the Milan afternoon light, she looked every inch a queen reclaiming her throne. That night, fireworks burst unexpectedly over the Milan sky, not a festival, but a spontaneous celebration by Amara's supporters. From Piazza Duomo, crowds chanted, "Justice, justice." On her hotel balcony, Amara watched, a glass of red wine in hand. Clara stood beside her, whispering, "You've won. Adrien is finished." Amara shook her head slowly. "No, this is only his end. As for me, this is just the beginning." 2 years after the Milan trial, dawn broke over Paris, brilliant and golden. On the rooftop of Lean Global's new headquarters, Amara gazed across the city. The 50-story glass tower, designed by famed architect Gabriel Monteverde, rose like a declaration of women's power. In her hand was a cup of coffee. On the giant screen in the lobby below, the ticker rolled, "Lean Global, $3 billion, presence in 47 countries." Clara joined her on the balcony, the wind tousling her hair. "Did you ever think you'd see this day?" Amara sipped, her eyes still fixed on the horizon. "Yes, but never that it would come through betrayal." Clara chuckled softly. "Betrayal destroys some people, but for you, it became fuel." Amara turned, her smile proud. "Adrien taught me calculation, but he forgot the best student always surpasses the teacher." Now, Adrien was nothing but a name in the financial crime reports. Occasionally, the press ran headlines. Former tycoon Adrien Vautrin denied clemency for the 3rd time. The accompanying photo showed him in a grey prison uniform, head bowed in the prison yard, a pitiful shadow of the so-called king of tech. Amara felt neither joy nor hatred at such news. To her, Adrien was invisible. Her heart belonged elsewhere, first and foremost, to Elena. The 9-year-old darted through Lean Global's offices, her white dress fluttering as she laughed. Clara teased, "Careful, little princess." Amara knelt, arms open. Elena ran into her embrace, emerald eyes shining. "Mama Amara, can I stay late today? I want to see your wedding dress fitting." "Of course, chérie," Amara replied, kissing her soft hair. The court had granted Amara full guardianship a month earlier, after Sophia moved to Canada. Elena now called her Maman, and to Amara, that victory was greater than any trial. And then, there was love. Gabriel Monteverde, the Italian architect, had first met Amara when she commissioned him for Lean Global's tower. Tall, with tousled dark hair and deep brown eyes, he had no illusions, no masks. His words struck her like truth. "I don't want to build a castle for a queen," he once said. "I want to build a home for a woman who knows her worth." Amara had stayed silent a long while after that. Then she smiled her first genuine smile in years. Their love grew slowly, steadily, not a blind explosion, but a steady flame warming old wounds. On their wedding day, Tuscany glowed beneath the golden Sunday vineyards stretched endlessly, the breeze carrying lavender. Amara wore a gown of shimmering emerald silk, her own creation. Elena, the flower girl, scattered white roses down the aisle. Clara, maid of honor, blinked away tears. Gabriel waited at the altar, eyes locked on hers. There were no paparazzi, no hundreds of elites, only family, true friends, those who had witnessed and believed. The vows rang simple, sincere. "I promise to stand by you, not to control, but to build with you." And Amara replied, "I promise to stand by you, not to shield, but to be free together." Firecrackers popped gently. Elena cheered. "Maman Amara, Daddy Gabriel." Laughter and tears mingled in the crowd. Amara stood on the villa balcony at sunset, her veil drifting in the breeze. Below, guests raised their glasses, carrying laughter. Elena chased butterflies in the garden. Gabriel wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Do you regret anything?" he whispered. Amara looked toward the crimson horizon. "Only one thing. I once thought I was just a victim. In truth, I always had strength. It only took one ruthless betrayal to make me see it." Gabriel tightened his embrace. "And now you are eternal." Amara nodded. She knew he was right. No longer the Belleville girl stitching in a cramped workshop. No longer the wife caged in gold. No longer the victim of power games. Amara Diop Monteverde was the woman who turned betrayal into power and pain into legend. That night, fireworks lit the Tuscan sky. Songs and laughter echoed over the vineyards. In the glow, Amara lifted her head high, eyes luminous. She knew the story had begun with an innocent child calling Daddy in a golden ballroom. It ended with a woman who learned to make herself immortal. And the world would forever remember her name, the Immortal Silk Queen.